Hi, how are you guys? So as you know, Nari and I, we love to do things for our retailers, and one of the most exciting things we're doing at the moment is we've brought on board Nadine, who is a visual merchandiser. She's not just a visual merchandiser, she's got her own business, and she comes from a, well, I'll let her explain herself a little bit. So tell us a little bit about your background.
Okay, well, I've been in visual merchandising for about, I'm showing my age here, but 20 years. I started off doing a visual merchandising course at RMIT, and from there I just kind of wanted to put my hand in everything. So I've done events, styling, set dressing and set design, and I've also worked for some really great retail companies, including Seed, Witchery, Country Road, the Just Group, Freedom Furniture, Fashion Brands, which is a wholesale jewellery company, and Morrissey, the list goes on.
And at the moment you're also teaching.
And I've just started teaching last year,
Yeah,
so yeah, I thought that I would spread my wisdom.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, before we go into all the nitty gritty, I like to always start with purpose, because I think in any business people need to connect to what their purpose is, no matter what kind of business you're in, if you want to survive in the long run. Can you tell us a bit about your purpose?
Okay, so I've worked with a lot of big companies, the big corporate retailers, and so I really actually started finding lots of beautiful little boutique stores around Melbourne, and I never knew where they were, and I never knew they existed, and once I found them I realised they offered so much more than big corporations. They had better values, better morals, better ways, better reasons for doing things for their family, to survive and everything. So I really wanted to embrace that and give the retailers like an opportunity to be in line with big corporations. And I knew that Zara was coming out and Amazon and all those kind of companies. So I really wanted to give them some advice in terms of how to better their business in terms of visual merchandising standards.
So in-store experience, it's the big word, everyone talks about it, how important it is. I don't really know if many people understand exactly what that means, but from a visual merchandising perspective, what does in-store experience mean to you?
Well, you want customers to come in and feel a vibe within the store. You want their instant connection with your product. You want them to walk in and not feel overwhelmed. You don't want them to walk in and feel as though the product's in their face, or if it's too loud, or if it's clashing. You want something to come in where there's a balance and a harmony in the store, no matter where you go. So if you've got lots of different products that are kind of jarring against each other, that's, it's not a welcoming kind of feel, and the customer, gets confused where to look and where to shop and where to buy if things don't have a rhythm and a flow within the store. So that's one kind of customer experience. So the other type of in-store experience is your sensory experiences. So, that you can smell candles, or you can feel the warmth of the candle, or if you can
Hear the music.
Hear the music, exactly. It's like bringing the whole vibe together. Or if you've got a certain product that it's like a coffee smell, or something to do with coffee, like a coffee scrub or a coffee whatever, then it's nice to have like that kind of smell that kind of brings you into that whole experience of that product as well.
Yeah, because I'm quite shocked these days. I still walk into stores who don't even have music playing, or they might have a radio playing.
Yeah.
And I just think, wow, it's too much silence almost, and I just want to walk out.
Well, it all depends. The music that you play definitely depends on your demographic. So if you walk into a teenage store, let's say, I don't know, Cotton On or something like that, they're going to have loud, doof music that's, that's what that customer expects. Whereas if you walk into a tranquil kind of bath and body store or something, you're going to expect softer music, or birds and nature kind of vibe. So, you've got to kind of work with your demographic as well in terms of your music.
Yeah, okay. And what are some of the things that our retailers can do, like even a small retailer who's maybe got limited resources, money, what can they do to have, what are some of, say 3 things that you think they could do that won't cost them a lot of money to create that in-store experience?
Yep, use nature. Nature is a really good way to bring warmth into the store. It brings freshness. Using real products is great, but fake plants last a lot longer, and there's some really good ones out there, and they'll last you a really long time. Also, a favourite thing of mine, and you might be horrified, but I love hard rubbish. You'll see me going, finding things on the side of the road that are really eclectic and really fun, and you can use them to bring into the store. They're free. And I've made so many props out of hard rubbish items that that no one else wants. One man's trash is another man's treasure. And the other thing is use your windows, because they are what is selling your product in your store. So if your windows are flat and dull and have no brightness or no light and aren't attracting people as you go past, it's not going to be an inspiration for them to come into your windows. Yeah. So windows are a huge thing. Use your own props, use your own product, and some old props to lift things up, put them into groupings, and really give that customer experience when they're walking past the store.
Yeah. And do you know, can you tell us, I did this in my questionnaire, a couple of big retailers, well, they don't have to be that big, but a couple of retailers that you might have worked with or might not have, that you think do a great job, and why do you think they do that?
Yeah, so there's so many. So one company that I've worked for would be Country Road. They're really big on visual merchandising. They've got a roaming team, and their whole focus is on how the store looks and feels as people come in. They only use the props that they make and they use are really basic. It's just clever thinking. So they might use card in different ways and shapes and form to create forms, and they really work what's going on in their window to what their promotional activity is going on in store as well. Yeah. And they're consistent with that, and they've built that brand up and up and up through their visual merchandising, but also really good buyers and planners as well. Another good store that I haven't worked in, but I know do a really good job, is a small boutique store on High Street in Malvern. Maybe not High Street, is a Shelley Panton store. She really connects with her customers because she's a clay maker. So everything in her store is not just based on clay, but it's really natural. So she's picked one theme and she's gone with it. She's just made a really strong atmosphere in her store about buying the right things, purchasing to what her own kind of connection to the product is, and laying all that out in her store in a really kind of practical yet kind of inquisitive and earthy way.
I wanted to ask you, because you've been in visual merchandising for so long, and I always like to, I love history and learning how things evolve and change over time. What are the biggest changes you've seen from, when you started 20 years ago, where probably the retailer had a little bit more power than today, and now the consumer has more power. So what sort of the biggest changes that you've seen in visual merchandising in the 20 years you've been in business, or in that industry?
Well, it hasn't evolved as dramatically as you would think. People still love a bricks and mortar store. They will shop online, yes, that's true, but they still love to touch and feel their items. The biggest thing that's changed is technology and the accessibility into the stores. I saw someone the other day had made something where maybe you're in a store and you can take photos of yourself in your outfit or whatever, and then you press a button and that outfit gets sent to your email, and then so that's collecting data, and so then when that person gets home, their outfit's sitting there and it gives you a list of everything that it costs, and they can buy it right there and then as soon as they get home, because sometimes you go home and you want to think about it. Yeah. So I think I think visual merchandising has always been really creative. There's different ways and more modern ways to do things now, you don't kind of lay fabric down on the ground, and you don't pin your bras and undies up anymore like they used to at Fossey's. And it's a bit more streamlined, and definitely using the elements and principles of design are a lot more stronger because there's so much more competition. Yeah. There is more competition, so people should be working harder to keep their stores presented beautifully, because if you think of it, everything is visual. You've got Pinterest, you've got Instagram, you've got Facebook. Everyone is looking at things visually these days, and that applies in store as well.
So, going back to that element of technology, obviously very daunting for a lot of our retailers, including even for us. I went to the conference, a 4-day conference by Inside Retail, and I was quite disappointed that, I mean, it was a good conference, there was a few good things, but really it was geared to large corporate, like big chains and stuff. So when they talked about technology, like, yeah, that's fantastic, but for your average small to medium sized business, and even for me,
yeah, you don't have $1 million.
You'd have to have millions of dollars to like create that, and they're like, use technology, but we're still trying to get our small to medium sized businesses to actually just have an online website. So do you think they really need to have that much technology in an average sort of retail store, or is there ways to kind of manage that to not have it as much?
I think that people who walk into a boutique store aren't expecting a lot of technology. They I think that the standards have to go up in terms of how the stores look. No longer can you kind of get away with like your $2 shop kind of look unless it is a $2 shop kind of look. I think that you need to be sophisticated in the way that you're merchandising. I think that you need to have plans. I think that you need to buy your stock for your store and how you're going to lay out your store, rather than just buying stock for the way that you want it. I think it all needs to flow. I think people are still really visual. And so I think the standards of VM should come up in boutique stores, but I don't really think that people are expecting that kind of high technology in these stores. And mostly people who shop at boutique stores understand that they're small businesses, they're family run, you know, they're small people, so they're not expecting these big things.